Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. So today I'm delighted to be joined by Shaa, and we're gonna dive into some really interesting, fun and hopefully inspiring topics for all those that watch. So Shaa, thanks so much for joining me today on my channel.
Pleasure, glad to be here. And I apologize before we pressed live to go recording for my crazy glasses, but I am getting real Zoom fatigue, right? Zoom fatigue is a real thing, and my eyes are killing me being on the computer so much. So yeah, I'm not like, I don't know, like I don't smoke, I don't drink, I've never taken a drug in my life, so I'm not like covering up a hangover or anything. It's literally Zoom fatigue. Now I've got that out of the way, we can talk about all things business and entrepreneurial ventures and anything else you like.
Yeah, let's do it. And it certainly is a thing. I think we all know that feeling. I think that's catching up to everyone at the moment. So, Shaa, I'm going to kick it off with just give us that intro of who you are and what you do.
All right. So I'm Shaa Wasmund, MBE. Yeah, I got to add in the MBE because quite frankly, after growing up, single parent family on a council estate, never going on a holiday until I was 16, and then I paid for it myself, being the first one to ever go to university, growing up on, quite frankly, pretty much fuck all, and being supported by the state, which I think is, you know, it's important for context. I'm really proud of the fact that I got an MBE from the Queen for my services to business and entrepreneurship. So my backstory is I'm totally unemployable. I've been an entrepreneur my entire life. Today, I am a business mentor. I say business mentor rather than coach, although I integrate coaching into everything I do. And the reason I say business mentor is because really what I'm doing is I'm taking my 25 years of entrepreneurial experience and hopefully helping as many people as possible, not just grow their businesses, but make them more profitable, not just grow them the top line number, but actually grow how much the entrepreneur, the business owner themselves is taking home. But in 2022, doing it in a way that fills you with joy rather than makes you feel like you've just got another job and you are literally your own employer, right? So for me, my whole career has been about being an entrepreneur. I wanted to create financial freedom because I came from nothing. And I'm a massive, massive advocate of creating financial empowerment for everyone. And the reason is because when you come from not having anything, you realize how much easier life is when you have money. Now, I'm not going to lie and say that money solves all problems. It doesn't. But if you have a problem that money can solve and you have money, you don't have a problem. And that is a fact. So for me, it's about building a career, building a legacy that helps me impact as many other entrepreneurs and business owners, particularly those who come from disadvantaged background, who haven't necessarily been to the private schools and had a leg up, who haven't necessarily had anyone in their family or you know, their friends or their circles around them who was a business owner who could mentor them and help them, because I know what it's like. I know what it's like to come from that kind of a background. And my whistle stop career history goes like this. I went to the London School of Economics, did an economics degree, and whilst all my peers went to work in the city, I became the world's first and only at that time licensed female boxing manager and promoter. I worked with Chris Eubank, the legendary Chris Eubank Sr. I worked with him until he retired. I put on over 20 world title fights all over the world. When he retired, I then had a chance encounter with the indomitable Sir James Dyson of the vacuum cleaner fame before anybody knew who he was. And I started working with James from around his kitchen table. He actually wrote the foreword to my first book, Stop Talking, Start Doing. I worked with James for the best part of 5 years, launching Dyson in America, the best experience I could ever have had. And from that point, I have pretty much been in the online industry of one description or another, building and selling online businesses. I'm an out and out entrepreneur. I'm doing what I'm doing today, but quite frankly, in 5 years' time, I could be doing something else. And I think that is the trait of an entrepreneur. So the difference between someone who is a coach or a business owner or a mentor and a entrepreneur is that an entrepreneur could be all of those things, but in 5 years or 10 years' time, they could be doing something totally different. So an entrepreneur is never really pigeonholed into what they're doing today, but it's in their DNA. It's impossible for an entrepreneur to sit still and not have ideas and not want to do things and not want to create things. So as much as I love what I do today, I'm always thinking about, you know, not just what can I launch next, but actually now very much, what can I invest in next? Who can I back next? Where's something that I'm really passionate about that I feel like I could add real value to create something new in the marketplace?
Awesome. I think we're gonna have some good fun. I mean, that was an incredible opener, and I hope a lot of people can relate, and I think they will. And just listening to your story as well, your backstory is very similar to mine, and we're gonna pick that apart a little bit actually from that transition. But something I just want to reiterate and go over, because I think that's really important so people pick up on that message, is what you said there is there's very much a difference between a business owner, someone who's very much in that bubble, knows it in and out, to an entrepreneur who's actually a creator, someone who can generate a new income, someone that can take nothing into something. And that's, I think people get cross wires when they think of, well, I'm a business owner and an entrepreneur. What one maybe are you actually, and just identifying who you are.
And I also want to be really clear that there's no right answer. So I don't believe, I know that maybe social media would make you feel like being an entrepreneur is like the better option, and being a business owner is like a watered down, diluted version, or you're not quite as good as an entrepreneur. I just don't think that's true. There are plenty of hugely successful, incredibly wealthy business owners who have chosen to focus on one sector, one category for their entire careers. And as a result of that, they've been able to double, treble down on that area of expertise. And so they've been able to really benefit from going deep on their knowledge in that one space. But an entrepreneur is a different breed. An entrepreneur couldn't be employed. A business owner, if they had to, they could go and get a job. Now, an entrepreneur, if they had to pay the mortgage, they're going to go get a job. But I'm going to tell you straight, every single minute that entrepreneur is in a job, they are trying to figure out what is the fastest way out of this ship, right? Yeah. Whereas a business owner is, okay, I'm in this position, I don't want to be here, but I'm okay here for a bit until I figure out my next step. So I think that's, for me, the real differences. And like I said, I don't believe that one is better than the other, but I do think somebody asked the question, are entrepreneurs born or are they made? Like, can you go and learn how to be an entrepreneur, or is it in your DNA? I think it's in your DNA. And then you can learn how to become a better entrepreneur. But I think actually being an entrepreneur is a mindset as much as it is a skill set.
Yeah, I'm gonna love this conversation. I mean, you basically just said what I've been putting out a lot on TikTok, is that entrepreneurs do not fit in full-time employment. They just don't. We've all been there, and I know from personal experience, from speaking with so many people that go into a workplace and they just cannot be aligned with people who are obsessed with another person's company. And the weird thing is, there are people who are in full-time job who are so obsessed about climbing the corporate ladder, but ultimately it's building another person's business. And an entrepreneur finds it very hard to sit there and watch from the sidelines thinking, I need to get out of here. I'm here for a purpose, but I'm gonna work my ass off outside of here to get out of here, because I can't relate to you people.
But can we also just show some respect for those people who want to work up that corporate ladder? And let me tell you why, because every one of us entrepreneurs needs those people in our business. Because if we didn't have those people in our business, we can't build our businesses by ourselves, right? So I'm always in awe of the people who can actually do that job, because I can't do it. And I'm not in awe of them like through some kind of, faux humility, like some sarcastic pattern on the back. Like, genuinely, I cannot do that shit. So I also know that if somebody can't do that with me, I'm not going to grow my business. So I'm appreciative of them in the same way that I love my cleaner to bits. Let me tell you, my cleaner in my household, she's like, she gets the biggest bonuses, because I do not want to be cleaning my house any more than I want to be doing the day-to-day admin stuff in my business. So rather than thinking that we're better than these people, recognize that without these people in our lives and without these people in our businesses, we would have to be doing that shit. So now start to pay respect to the people who do the stuff that you don't want to do, so that you can play to your zone of genius. That's how I see it, right? I could never do those things, and I never want to. But I also know that without those people doing them, I'm going to have to do them. So I'm going to show them enough love and respect so I can just stay in my zone.
Yeah, you've got to be empathetic. I think you've also got to build, in order to get the best and build your own, because I like to replace things. Instead of building a power team or an employment force, actually it's a community where people are all working towards the same thing, and there's just someone might be at the top sort of running it and so forth. But I think you have to be empathetic, you have to be welcoming, create a nice working environment, and then people sort of really want to work towards the same goal rather than being sort of leaving that feeling of, I don't want to be here, I need to get out. It's about creating a nice workplace, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's not always easy with entrepreneurs. Let's be honest. We are pig-headed. We are binary. Everything's pretty much black or white to us. There's no gray. And the truth is that to be a great entrepreneur, you have to have like Olympic levels of resilience, right? And when you have Olympic levels of resilience and tenacity and determination, that usually comes with a pretty thick skin. And often that's a really great asset, but sometimes it means we're not the best at listening, right? Because our heads are set, right? No, this is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to do it. And also because truthfully, it's on us if it goes right or wrong. So in our heads as an entrepreneur, we're thinking, well, I'm kind of listening to you, but I disagree with you. And the reality is if I take your advice and it goes wrong, it's still up to me to fix it. So we're going my way. And I just think that what happens with a bit of maturity, having been in business for a while, you learn from your mistakes. You realize, hold up a second. All right, I am the entrepreneur and it is on me, but I don't have all the answers. And so I have to start listening to the people around me. And that's about building the trust with you and your team and your advisors, your board of directors, so that entrepreneurialism is a lonely journey sometimes, right? I mean, for me, I think that's the biggest thing for entrepreneurs is that I don't know about you, but when I started out, no one in my family had ever run their own business. I don't think anyone in my family had ever earned over £30,000 a year, ever. And so I was breaking the mold, but not really understanding what I was doing. I was just doing it and figuring out on my way. Now, if you don't have a community around you of like-minded people in those dips, because, being an entrepreneur is like being on a roller coaster, right? In those dips, it's easy to feel like, it's easy to feel like giving up, but again, the entrepreneurial spirit pushes you through. But I feel like when you don't have that community around you and the people with a bit more experience than you, when things go wrong or you make a mistake, it can feel like there's something wrong with you or you're the mistake. And I think that, again, with the experience, you realize that actually a mistake is a mistake. I'm not the mistake. You're not the mistake. Something went wrong, but you're not wrong. The thing went wrong. So what can we learn from that and move forward? And when you have a community of people around you and you can genuinely share openly about what you're actually going through, rather than putting on this photoshopped, filtered version of reality, suddenly you realize that, oh my God, I thought it was just me. What, everyone's been through this? And then you breathe a sigh of relief. Oh, okay, this is part of the journey. Okay, now I get it. I haven't messed this all up. This is just part of my journey.
Yeah, do you know what? I couldn't agree more. I think that entrepreneurs, we overthink. We never stop thinking. It's very hard to switch off. I totally agree when you say that sometimes we find it hard to listen to people. And I think those are the traits of a really good entrepreneur who's well balanced and diversified. Someone who can not only listen to the positives, but hear perhaps the opposite, what might be considered as, well, that's just negativity. Well, it might just be the other view. And I think when you can take segments out of both sides and then you can use that to form a good decision, I think that's someone who goes a long way. I really like the fact of your background and your background and parents and setup sounds very similar to mine. I mean, for me, I always say this, I'm covered in tattoos and I'm in finance. Like, you try and line me up with another 100 people in London, I stick out like a sore thumb. And I don't know if you find this, and this is a form of judgment. I have this quite a lot across all different platforms, is that because of the way that I talk now, I talk very different to how I did 10 years ago. And I really mean that in the sense that how I talk now does not sound like how I talked 10 years ago, or how I spoke 10 years ago. And it's funny because people will still make a judgment thinking that because of how you change your life, because of the knowledge that you've gained, the people that you were around, all of a sudden it's that you were given a leg up, or your parents must be rich. Do you have that a lot as well?
Oh my God. So in my last book, How to Fix Your Shit, I did forget, I'm going to big myself up here now as well. Like, I'm also a Sunday Times best-selling author, and I've sold over 250,000 books. Now, let me tell you what's important about this, right? Because if we were in America, I would be bigging myself up left, right, and center, congratulating myself. But in this country, we kind of feel like we have to diminish ourselves. We have to make ourselves smaller to make other people feel comfortable, right? And so what we do is we think, oh, I can say that, but if you say that as well, Shaa, you're going to sound like an arrogant twat. Don't say that as well. And I just thought to myself just then when you were talking about, how people judge you, I think we have to break this mold, right? We have to be proud of what we've achieved, because your light does not diminish my light. In fact, your light should shine the path for me. And if we all share our light, everyone, everything gets illuminated. But we're in this society where it feels like if my light's shining, then yours isn't. And this is just batshit crazy. And this scarcity mentality is such bullshit. So I really want to encourage everybody to own how fucking brilliant you are. And when you make mistakes and when you fuck up, own that too, and ask for help, because asking for help is a sign of strength. But making ourselves seem small. And by the way, women do this more than men, right? This is a fact. Women feel so conscious of shouting about their achievements for fear of being judged, primarily by other women. And this is the worst part of it, right? It's usually other women who will bitch about you behind your back. Who does Shaa think she is? Like, she thinks she's, actually, I am all that and a bag of chips. And you know what? You probably are too, but you're too scared to own it. And I'm not too scared to own it. And I just think that's so important, because coming back to your point, I can't tell you the amount of times I've heard people say, oh, you're really lucky. I'm like, whoa, hold up a second. Let me tell you a little bit about my life that you don't know, or you maybe haven't bothered to read or listen to. So I grew up in a super dysfunctional family. My dad was a narcotics abuser. He was incredibly violent. He literally actually tried to kill my mum in front of me twice. I grew up with the level of violence that you only see on TV and you think doesn't actually really happen, but it does happen. And I don't think that's lucky, right? I think that made me, though, because I think that I'm so fiercely independent because I saw what my mum had to go through. And I knew that I would never, ever put myself in that position. But that's not lucky. And I find it really disrespectful when people, without knowing someone's background, sure, if you grew up in a white middle-class family with parents who are still together, who love one another, who have a really great relationship and provided a great role model for you about relationships and supported you throughout school and your career, that's actually lucky, right? That is lucky. Some people are lucky, but don't make the assumption that because somebody has got some degree of material or financial success that they are lucky. Do you know how hard you or I have worked? And here's the thing. The reality is the people who say that you're lucky, they are not prepared to do what you or I have done to get to where we're at. The people who don't say you're lucky, the people who congratulate you, the people who ask you, oh, Aaron, how did you do that? Shaa, how did you do that? They're the ones who are going to get there too, because they are more focused on learning from you than competing with you. And when you say to somebody that, oh, you're lucky, you do yourself a disservice and you do them a disservice, right? You do them a disservice because truth is, you don't know their story and you don't know 9 out of 10 times, you don't know that they're lucky at all. You've just made that assumption. But you also do yourself a disservice because what you're saying is that you're saying that luck is the only thing that got them to that place. And therefore, if you don't have that luck, you can't get there. So you're basically doing yourself a disservice because you're saying it's only down to luck. And I don't have that luck, so I'm not going to get there. Whereas if you switch the perspective and you said, guys, what did you do to get there? Like, I love your story. Like, I want to know more. What could I do? This is what I'm doing now. Where am I going right? Where am I going wrong? What could I learn? What could I model from your behavior and what you're doing, right? Like, the truth is, I sit here now and above me, I've got a vision board. And on my vision board, I've got a picture of J-Lo with her abs. Now, if I want J-Lo abs, the reality is I have to do what she does to get them. And I'm not sure, if I'm being really honest, that I've got the time, the patience, or the desire to do what she's done to get that. So I might get close to it, but it's very unlikely that I'm ever going to have abs quite as good as hers. Why? Because I am not prepared to do what she did to get there. But come to my business, oh, that's a whole different thing. I'm prepared to do everything that it takes to get to where I want to get to. And I think so that when people say to you that you're lucky and they look at your career, and it pisses me off because it's doing you a disservice, but actually it's doing them a disservice too. Sorry, that was a bit of a rant.
Well, I don't know. Look, I know this is going to be the feeling. Shaa, I'm pumped. And I feel like me and you need to lead this parade. I feel like we need to start a community and me and you will lead this, because I am so behind you in everything that you've said, switching from, rather than making a comment and being a bit of a muppet and sitting there and trying to squash someone, ask a question and ask them, because there is a very successful individual who's a very good friend of mine and very, very wealthy. And I love this saying that he always says, the unwritten rule for any entrepreneur is that you help other entrepreneurs. That is the unwritten rule, and every entrepreneur should help another. And so many people fail just to say, how did you do it? Rather than, oh, you must have had this, you must have been given this, you must have been given this. I'm gonna plug my book, but I haven't sold as many as you, but I've got a couple of books and I'm writing my third and on Amazon. And I wrote this, and it's self-education equals success and income, because I'm 100% self-educated from Amazon Audible, and I create my own income.
Right, you can't have business development without personal development. Fact.
Yeah.
Absolute fact. When we talk about entrepreneurs supporting other entrepreneurs, I'm a big fan of a Madeleine Albright saying, and this is how it goes. There is a very special place in hell for women who don't support other women. And the reason that I talk about women is, really sadly, you see this more with women than you do with men. Now, I work with both men and women, but what I see with men is men are way more likely to look at another man and go, well, how did you do that? How did you do that? They might not ask you, but behind the scenes, they're trying to do their due diligence and figure out how you did it, right? The women, I hear the women bitching about other women, and clearly not all women, but I'm just saying, if you are a female, you're listening to this, it is our job to compete with ourselves and collaborate with others. Our job is not to compete with each other. Our job is to build each other up. Like I said at the beginning, your light does not diminish my light, and my light does not diminish your light. There is enough for everyone, but I feel like society and the way that we've all kind of been brought up makes us feel like there's not enough. There's only this amount, but that's not true. You know, there's an infinite amount. So we have a choice every day. We can lead with a scarcity mentality, which is, okay, there's only enough of this so I've got to hoard it all to myself. Or we can say, I've got an abundant mentality. I'll tell you what I'm going to go and do. I'm going to go and drop some seeds over here, and I'm going to go and put some seeds over there. And by the way, the seeds could be your time, could be helping somebody else with their business, because if we can help everyone grow, we get a bigger crop. So you have an abundant mentality. I don't know anyone who has got very far on a scarcity mentality. And even those who have got wealthy on a scarcity mentality will not be happy because they won't have anyone to share it with.
Shaa, I'm like ready to go. I'm super. What I'm gonna do after. What I do need to do is I need to get you in the studio face to face. We need to do this as a big thing. Right. After this podcast, I'm gonna send you a clip, and I want you to watch it, and I'm gonna share it, and I'm gonna tag you in it, and I think it's gonna relate to you down to a T. Where to start? It's just totally thrown me. All of this is just so relevant. And it's so funny as well. Just something I want to touch on. It's almost like the stars have aligned for us this morning, because I put out on TikTok this morning specifically, and you've just said it, about other females who want to get in, but they're a little bit weary of, maybe it's male dominated, or they don't know where to begin, or they just don't want to jump in for some reason. And I literally put it on my latest TikTok. If you're a female that wants to get into business, surround yourself with other female entrepreneurs that are doing what you want to do, and ask and learn. And you've just gone and said it.
And I'm just going to tell you now, find the good ones. And I'm not the only good one. There's plenty of us, but there are also some not good ones. And I think that you can just tell someone's vibe, right? So here's some key things. If somebody tells you they're authentic, they're definitely not authentic. If somebody has to keep talking about integrity, I guarantee you they haven't got any. These are the ways I think that you use as filters, because it's so easy in this online space to get lulled into this kind of fakery and this world where everything is photoshopped, it not just through filters, but in what you're actually saying, what you're writing, what you're posting. But the reality is that if you're a woman and you want to get into business, you want to start up your own business, you want to learn from someone who's been there, seen it, and done it before you. But equally, I know from my experience, I have got phenomenal men in my corner, and I don't believe so. Being pro-Black does not make me anti-white. Being pro-female and a feminist does not make me anti-male. And I think these are the conversations that we need to have, right? Just because I'm a feminist and just because I'm pro-female does not make me in any way, shape, or form anti-male. Men have supported me and championed me my whole entire career. And quite frankly, on many occasions, they have championed me more than women have. But I'm going to blame society, and quite honestly, the patriarchal society that we've all grown up in, that makes women believe that we have to be pitted against each other. Because if you go to the corporate boardroom, there's only one woman around the board table, if you are lucky. So women have been brought up to believe there's only one seat at the table for us, and it's either you or me, Shaa. So I'm going to have to fight you for it. Whereas my view is, fuck that shit. If there's no space, I'm not waiting for a seat at the table. I'm just going to go and build my own. And if you want to come with me, because I've got plenty of seats. I am not interested in taking your seat at the table. I'm interested in working with you and building our own table somewhere else away from this bullshit mentality. But sadly, that takes a degree of confidence and strength and experience to be able to believe that it's possible to build your own table, right? And I think that this isn't just a conversation for women. This is a conversation for all entrepreneurs and all small business owners. If we don't have that level of inner confidence, that unshakable belief in ourselves, it's very easy to be pushed off track. And the best way to build up that confidence is to surround yourself with like-minded people that you can have honest conversations with.
I love this. I just want everyone to know that we haven't actually got through any of the questions really that we were going to do. No. But this is so good. Like the information is, and that's why we have to do a part 2, Shaa.
All right, I'm up for it.
Because there's
and you can help me launch my TikTok account. I keep saying I'm going to do it. So I know you've got him coming on your show soon. Jay Alderton is a good friend of mine. And Jay is like, Shaa, you are literally the queen of the soundbite. TikTok will love you.
Oh, it would. Honestly, you'd grow so quick. I mean, the value, honestly, what you're saying is nothing but truth. And it's nail on the head every time. I mean, you know, if you want to do well and you want to, you know, how do you ever see an entrepreneur put in a negative comment on someone's social media? Do you ever see them taking the time out? No, that, like you said, there's the ones that are watching, but they don't want to ask the question because that, like you say, I would definitely agree. Because I have male sort of figures around me that I know they watch and I know they're dying to ask. And I think, you know, just ask. And there are the males that goes, you know, they're like, mate, how'd you do that? You know, and the ones that don't ask, they just need to ask. And that's all that everyone needs to do is just say, I love what you're doing. It looks incredible. Can I be a part of it? Or can I learn somehow? Can I offer something in return to learn from what you're doing? Because I think it's awesome.
I really want to encourage everyone listening and watching to put your hand up, right? To say, can I have some help? Because it is a sign of strength. It is not a sign of weakness at all. It's the opposite. And the only way that we learn is by learning. And you can't just learn through osmosis. You can't just wish that you could learn how to do it. You have to ask how to do it. And I don't know any entrepreneur who wouldn't help another entrepreneur.
Yeah.
The kind of deciding factor for me is always the same thing. Are you prepared to help yourself? As long as I can see that you are prepared to help yourself, not help me, but are you prepared to help yourself? Then I'm prepared to help you. What I will not do at this point in my career or ever again, because I've done way too much, and you probably have too, is help people who then don't do anything with it, right?
All the time.
And again, I don't know if you've experienced this, but coming from a poor background, I think that I still have some limiting beliefs I need to work through that mean I feel guilty about certain things. And I feel like I don't want to be seen as a sellout. So I'm always trying to help everyone, especially those who don't have the money. And there's nothing wrong with that. But here's the thing, help the people who don't have the money who are going to help themselves in other ways. Do not help anyone, whether they've got money or they haven't got money, if they're not prepared to do the work themselves, because you're just wasting your time and your effort, which could be spent helping someone who is prepared to do the work. That's my lesson.
Yeah, it's almost like, you know, if you're doing a mentoring or something, like, you don't always want to put your prices up because you'd rather help the masses than limit it to a certain amount of people that could, you know, perhaps afford to pay or perhaps get that knowledge and stuff like that. So I totally agree. I just want to, just before we come to a close, and obviously we'll plug in your socials and this exciting event that you've got come up, I just want to share this with you because this is, and for everyone listening, is I heard this, can't remember where I heard it, and I thought it was a great analogy and kind of breakdown of entrepreneurs helping other entrepreneurs. Imagine this, car drivers are entrepreneurs, business owners, and there's a guy or woman on the side of the road thumbing for a lift. You're not really going to pull over. Not many people pull over for someone thumbing now. If you see someone on the side of the road trying to push their own car on their own, you will pull over and likely help them because you're thinking, oh, I can't let him, look, him or her struggling. I'm going to go help. I'm not going to drive by and leave them on the side of the bypass.
100%. It's
because they can see you're putting in the effort. So you're going to help them because you think that they're really trying. They can't move the car.
I agree with that.
In the dirt. Shaa, I've absolutely loved this. I know everyone that's going to watch. Just where can people reach out and tell us just a little bit about that event? And I'll include all the links in the description.
Okay, so the best place probably to find me, I have a weird name, Shaa Wasmund, ShaAWasmund. Find me all over socials, Instagram. Haven't got myself on TikTok yet, although apparently I've got 10 different accounts. So none of those are actually mine yet. And the best place really is just go to my website, ShaAWA.com. Very easy, 4 letters, ShaAWA.com. And everything about what I do, how to connect with me is there. Now, if you are listening to this week, so what's the day today? Is it the 17th today?
Tuesday, the 17th, yeah.
So it's the 17th today. On Friday, the 18th of May, I am running a free business boot camp in central London at the Cavendish Conference Centre. And the reason it's free is because we are sponsored by, I hope, another guest that you're going to have on your show. And it's our first live event in 3 years. I feel like everything that we've spoken about on this podcast today is so important. Community. So if you want to go and meet like-minded people, you don't even have to pay to be there. You just have to go to shaa.com/back in the game. Back in the game. All one word together. Now, why do we call it back in the game? Because we think after 3 years of not doing events, we want to get back in the room together. We want to get back in the game. We want to help you get your head back in your business. And oh my God, we have got stellar lineup of speakers. So the incredible Jay Alderton, who I know you've got coming on your show really soon. He's grown his Instagram following over like 200,000 in about 3 months. He's going to come and teach all about social media and Instagram tactics and how to grow your audience on social media. We've got Tim Campbell, MBE, who, if you watch The Recent Apprentice, he is Alan Sugar's new right-hand man. He's been one of my best friends for about 10 years. So he's going to come and he's going to talk about resilience and turning your business around. And if you want to pivot, the balls that it takes to say, actually, I don't want to do what I'm doing anymore, and I want to do something totally different. I mean, we have just got an incredible lineup of speakers. As I said, the tickets are entirely free. So go check it out. If it rocks your boat, I look forward to seeing you there.
Amazing. Honestly, I feel like we could start a party in a room with no one in it.
For sure, always.
I really do. Awesome.
It's probably a really good job that I don't drink, do drugs or anything else, because I reckon I'm already like super caffeinated before I've even got to 6 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, so I feel like we're so alike in so many ways. Like I can, when I hear you speak, obviously I'm the host, I'm this side, but when I'm your side, I can hear it with you as well. I can hear that rawness of the fire of where you came from, and when I'm on that side, I'm just the same, and I find it really funny because I can relate, and I'm going to share something very soon with you. Everyone who's watched so far, I think actually so far I've enjoyed it the most, but I know everyone who's watched will. And go check out Shaa's event. It's going to be incredible, and we will see you all very soon.